Hey everyone, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks very much. So we went to Oslo. I had not been on a plane or out of the country for 18 years. I had been to Miami 18 years ago and I hated every second of it, but at the time I didn't realize that I had problems with anxiety and problems with obviously depression and bipolar or whatever. And so I didn't know what to do or how to cope. So I remember having a really horrible time on that. It's nothing to do with like fear of planes or anything. It's just, anxiety is general fear of everything and worried about the unknown and stuff. So Joanne bought me the tickets to Oslo for my birthday, which was back in May. So when I was handed the tickets, it was easy to kind of go, or like easy to take it in my stride, because I was thinking, well, it's not till the end of September, so it seems so far away. But it didn't, it flew by. But the whole point, if I didn't mention before, my favourite artist is Edvard Munch, and my favourite painting is The Scream, because of the fact that it's dealing with Munch's own anxiety and almost panic attacks that he had while close to the sea, and all the swirling imagery and stuff in the painting is what he saw and what he felt at the time. So obviously I'm kind of drawn to it for that reason, and I'm drawn to Munch's work in general. I think his work is quite sad and dark, and he had a very, very tough life. Part of my present for my birthday was his biography, and I read about the death in his family in his early life, and sickness and mental health issues, and all a lot of stuff that went on with his life. And it comes back at you in his work, his difficulties and the death and those kind of things, and rejection, I think, as well, is a big thing. So yeah, it came by fast, and I was very, very anxious, but and I've told Joanne why I went and how I managed to get there, and it was both, that the answers to both would be her, and she's an absolute saint, because when I'm in stressful situations, I kind of shut down, in communication, and I just need to barrel through things. And I remember, I forgot how stressful the airports are, and the people around, and it's so noisy, and you're kind of triggered a little bit by all those kind of things that was going on. And I have to be at somewhere 2 hours before I should be, just to make sure I'm in situ and kind of can relax as much as I can. And John just goes with it, and she's very laid back, but she was able to put up with me. But I honestly can say I had a brilliant time with her on the trip. Oslo's a really beautiful city, so clean, and the transport's really good, and everything just works, and the beautiful buildings and the architecture is different than it is here, obviously. Like in anywhere you go, if you went to Amsterdam, the architecture is different in Paris and all that, and Norway's different again. And they love bakeries. Oh God, the pastries are unbelievable. But we really didn't to be fair, Joanne didn't want to put me under too much stress. So we landed there late on the Friday night, but the Saturday the main thing was we were going to the Munch Museum. And so we went to the museum in this amazing building, and just this really, it's such an imposing and impressive looking building, and slightly, different in shape almost. And we went in, and obviously Munch has loads of work, and we went to the different rooms, and certain paintings and pictures that I didn't expect to kind of blow me away as much they did. There's this, he has a painting called Vampire, which is really really impressive in real life. Like, you see some in books and you're like, oh, that's cool, yeah, but it's so vivid, and like the colors are so different when you're standing right in front of it. And something like The Kiss is really hard hitting. And he's another one called Anxiety, which is the painting is in and around the port where he paints the Scream. So we go into this room where the Scream is, and the first thing we see is that there's 3 different Screams. There's one that's black and white, then there's one that's kind of not quite colouring pencils, but in and around, and then the painting. And every half hour they swap it out. Now we got the timings wrong, but we saw two of them. So, but the first one we saw was the black and white one. And I stood in front of it, and I didn't think I would be as moved or hit as hard as I was, as like this. I was finally getting to see this thing that, you know, I have the scream out there, framed. I have it on a mug. I have it on a cushion. I have it on a bookmark, a placemat. Everything I've got a scream of everything, and I stood in front of it, and I was just blown away by it. It was properly mesmeric. I know it sounded like a tit, you know what I mean? But this is just, I can't really describe it, and I needed to kind of stand back from it. And we left the room, and we went to the next floor, and we were looking around, and there was more monk stuff upstairs, and there's kind of an area where you could go and draw your trace your own thing, which Joanne was doing. And we went back down, and we saw the second one, and it was amazing, because what they do is they have the black and white ones here, they close it out, and then directly across, so the room is black, so directly across them they open the door, and the next one's there, and everybody just went like this, gasp. And the reason they do that, by the way, is so that it's not constantly exposed to the light. Each one isn't, so it'll for generations to come, they'll get to enjoy it, because it is his most famous piece of work. And yeah, the second one came out, and we got our pictures and all that with it. And I'm still processing the greatness of the work in general, but I'm still processing the fact that I went to the Scream, and I'm more to the point processing the fact that I got out of the country and I was able to do it, and I give Joanne like 90% of the credit, but I'll take 10% in the sense, that I had to get there and I had to do it, and I did it, and it was probably the biggest accomplishment, the biggest thing I've done in many years, the most difficult, but the thing that meant the most. The next day we went to see one battle after another, which I'll talk about in another video, because again, as work of arts go, it was very, very moving. So we took it kind of easier on that day, and we had a walk around Oslo and just chilled out. And I didn't realize that, I knew that the Nobel Prizes are handed out in Sweden, but I didn't realize that the only one that isn't handed out in Sweden, it's handed out in Norway, is the Peace Prize. So we saw the building where that's handed out, and we saw Oslo City Hall, we saw the National Theatre there with the Henrik Ibsen statue. We walked past the one of the, was it Ibsen's theatre? I can't really quite remember what it was, but there was this electronic board on the wall, and it was showing what's coming next, what play is coming next and all this, and it gave the times, and then it said closing on, and the one day of the year that was closing was the 17th of May, which is my birthday, and it was just typical. But we got on the train a couple of times, went to the wrong place, had to go back on ourselves, but it's such, like I said, it's such a beautiful country. It's so well organized, from getting to the airport into the city. This train that tips in and gets you right into the central station. And there's so many places to eat, and like I said, so many bakeries, so many hotels. The people, very nice. No matter how much I give out, although I do give out, but when I hold a door for someone and they don't say thank you, and that happened twice. They mightn't be Norwegians, but I digress. But even the flight over, the nerves and the anxiety that was there, I managed to deal with it through, I don't know, probably distraction. I was just staring out the window at the land underneath, and then when the land wasn't there anymore, I tried to read, and then it's only a couple of hours flight, but all of everything that I had worried about, and I was sitting here in the apartment on Thursday night going, okay, in 4 or 5 days time I'll be back here and it'll be all over. That kind of doom, that kind of worry of what might happen, it didn't happen. But that's anxiety, and that's, I have to live with that. But for all the jokes that me and Joanne were making about the idea of the scream, and you know, well, I talk about like the anxiety and stuff, and that particular thing of screaming. I felt like doing that many times, but I didn't. But I did get to see for me, the greatest piece of art in person, you know, and for someone who's probably late to the game with art and really only got into it in my mid-20s, to get there and be brought there and to enjoy it as much as I did is amazing. So maybe it's onwards and upwards with regard to travel and going somewhere new. But yeah, it was great, and you should visit because it's a beautiful city. So yeah, thanks for watching. I just thought I'd put this out there. So yeah, see you later. Bye.